Hey guys, Taylor here. Today I'm going to show you how to get an at-home salon blowout with lots of volume and curl a la Kate Middleton. Because who doesn't want to have like royal Kate Middleton hair? She really has the best hair. I'm serious, if you need to Google her, do it right now. I think every woman should know how to give themselves a classic blowout. It gives you lots of volume. It's curled but straight at the same time. It just looks effortless and pretty. I'm going to break down everything I'm using for you guys and put links so that you can get everything you need to do this blowout at home for yourself too. First off, a good round brush. This round brush has pretty thick bristles. I really like that for tension and the curl when you're doing this kind of blowout style. And this is about a 1 1/4 inch, you can see there next to my hand, size round brush, so you'll need one of those. Another thing you'll need is some Velcro rollers. I have this large size. If you have shorter hair, feel free to go smaller. So get yourself some of these. You'll need about 4 to 5. And then lastly, you need some flat metal clips to keep those Velcro rollers in place. Okay, so first off, my hair is a little bit air dried. It's still pretty damp. One of the biggest problems a lot of people have when they are trying to round brush and blow out their hair is that they go in with a brush when it's way too wet. If it's too wet, it's gonna take forever to dry. You're not gonna get any sort of volume, you're not gonna get any sort of tension to help create the style. It's just not gonna work. So you wanna let your hair air dry a little bit or rough dry it a little bit so that probably, like, depending on your hair type, anywhere between 60 and 80% of the water is out of your hair. After that, I like to go in with products. I always start with an oil first. So this is the Unite U oil. So I'm just gonna pump a little bit of that in and work it through my ends. I always like to start with the oil first before my spray products because this is the one product that you're touching your hair with. And you don't want to be kind of touching and rubbing after you've already put the sprays in your hair. Next, I'm going to go in with my Unite Boosta volume spray all over and concentrating at the root. I like to spray a little bit on my ends too because it helps give it that grip for when I'm doing the blowout. Okay, so before I get started, I want to give you guys a few quick tips. I always start with this front section, the bang portion, because this is usually the area that needs the most help, the most hold, so you really want that to set the longest. So I'm going to take both sides of my part and do them together. Another big mistake people make is keeping this part so separate and then they get really flat. So I'm going to take this front section together, and when I'm blow drying, I'm going to go in at the root. Another big mistake that people make is they want to pull the brush all the way through the ends the entire time and they really focus on the ends. You want to do it the opposite. You need to be focusing on the root to get the water out up here, because as I'm air drying my hair, you'll see that these are kind of drying by themselves, so they don't need as much help. You really want to focus at the root, because if you leave any water in the root, no matter how good you style those ends, that water is going to come down and mess it all up. So you're going to start at the root and make sure that's dry. You're going to go over it a few times before you even pull through the ends at all. So I'll show you what that looks like real quick. Going to go in with a little more spray. And now you'll see I'm going to push and kind of roll up into the root area, because that's going to create tension. You'll notice that I'm not really focusing on the ends at all. I'm just rolling that root, and then I'm just letting the ends fall out till the root is completely dry. So now I'm going to heat it up in this rolled position, and then I'm going to press the cool button and cool it down. Okay, now I'm going to slowly unravel this. I'm going to take this whole section that I just did, and I'm going to put it in my roller. So I'm going to kind of over direct this forward, slide that hair in it, roll it up, take my pin, and pin it right there. So I'm going to continue doing a few more back this way, and then I'm going to do the sides. Okay, letting that cool for a second. Okay, so now I have my two rollers in here, setting that volume, and then I'm gonna work on creating volume with these side pieces here. If you wanted to, you could do another third roller back here. Okay, I'm gonna go in again with this. Okay, so now I'm going to take this top section right here, but I don't want to grab any of that back portion. So it's just this corner piece right here. And I'm just going to kind of push these to the side while I do this. Again, I'm gonna roll that in to the root to push and create tension so that I can get lift at the root. I'm gonna dry this area first, this whole root part. I'm gonna work my way down and do the ends very last. My roller now, get all that hair, and go straight up with it. You can kind of pinch it together so that it fits on the roller. Okay, I'm gonna pin that right there. there you go. So I have my 2 on top, 2 on the sides. Again, you can add a 3rd if you want. I fully recognize that this is a look, but it's gotta get a little crazy before it gets better, right? So now you will be left with a little bit on the sides, pretty small amount, and then a good chunk in the back. And I always tell my clients, my friends, if you focus all your energy on this top area, getting the root really good, this doesn't really matter as much. So I'm just gonna kind of whip through this and give it some round brush style, make sure it's totally dry. This is the area that you really want to do the work. Okay. As you can see, I just blow dried all this under, gave it a nice curl, has body, smooth, and it's 100% dry. A huge thing when you're blow drying is that you want to make sure it's 100% dry. A lot of times it gets really hot, so we think it's dry, but if you let it cool down for a second and it still feels kind of cold, then there might be some water in there, so you want to go back in and dry it a little bit more. Typically for me, if I feel like maybe there's a little bit of water, but it's already totally smooth, I won't go in with the brush. It doesn't need that much heat. I'll just kind of take the dryer and loosely dry it a little bit more. Okay, so now we're gonna kind of deal with this. There's a little bit more we're gonna put into it. So I'm gonna take all these out. So you'll see, I already have a lot of volume, but I can feel that it's not quite dry and it needs to be set a little bit more. So I'm just gonna show you how I kind of finish this up to really lock in the volume, the style, and make sure it's 100% dry. Now I'm gonna show you my little secret weapon and trick to get the best hold, grip, and body in your hair. I'm gonna actually take my Texturiza, my dry texture spray, and I'm gonna spray this kind of all at the root area before I go back in with the brush. First, I'm gonna start with this front bang piece. And I'm gonna take my brush and I'm actually gonna go on top of it and kind of curl it back. And this is really where you wanna kind of get the tension in those ends. So you'll see that I'm kind of turning it with my fingers. Don't be a little crazy with the wrist action there, because that is when your arm hurts. But if you go in and just lightly twist with your fingers with the brush, it's a little easier and it doesn't hurt so much. So I'll show you that. Starting at the middle and heating that middle up and then twisting those ends into it and blowing it into the brush. And then I'm gonna just like twist with my fingers and rotate it down and let this top part kind of fall out. And see that twist there? That's how you're gonna get the curl. Okay, there you have it. So now I have all this body, volume, curl. That's how I get that blow dry. But you can see most of this came from those rollers up here. All this underneath part, it's just smoothed out. It doesn't really matter. If you can get the front on point, no one will know that you cheated the back. Now to finish off this look, I'm just gonna take these front pieces and curl them a little bit tighter just so that they stay, give myself a little bit more face frame. I like to use my 1 1/4 inch iron for this, and with this type of blowout, when I go in with the curl, I'm gonna curl it a little more traditionally. So I'm actually gonna kind of pull it through the ends a little bit more and have it be more of like a rounder curl. So I'm gonna roll this up, and I'm actually gonna take it all the way through the ends at the end. And I'm gonna let that cool for a second. And you can kind of use this part too, like if there's any piece that you want to curl a different direction, like this back piece, the curl didn't set as much, so I'm actually gonna curl this one this way. Just kind of roll that up, set that in there. Just to keep it really nice and bouncy. There you have it, guys. So that is how I do my bouncy salon blowout at home. And you can do it too. It takes a little bit of practice and it might feel weird at first. You might have hair flying everywhere, might be falling out of the brush. That's okay. And you know, it takes some practice, but I guarantee if you put in a little bit of effort towards this top area, and you practice blowing out your hair, you will love the results and you'll love how this style will last. It's super easy to touch up. You can curl those ends the next day, just like I showed you. And it really just creates a lot of volume and it looks so classic. It's just a really classic, pretty hairstyle that will never go out of style. I hope you guys found this video helpful and that it gave you the push to try and dry your own hair at home. Give yourself a salon blowout. I know you can do it. Just keep practicing and let me know if this was helpful for you.